So after I'm done here today, I'm going to put online the equations necessary to have unlimited energy just to say you to the world.
Interesting.
Here on the PBD Podcast, Patrick Bet-Davis has Terrance Howard as a special guest. Howard goes on a rant on how the U.S. is trying to suppress him, and he's threatening taking his new science invention called the linchpin to China. Let's find out what led to him even thinking about helping China or even making China better than us.
Very interesting.
Yeah,
Very interesting,
all of the
guys.
stuff that we've been doing, the reason that we were forced to go to the AI route was, like I said, I brought all of the wave conjugations, I brought the actual geometry to people like Eric Weinstein, and they did nothing with it. Instead of evaluating it, I thought he would share it among his friends and talk about it. No, they just set it there, even though it was 4 grand supersymmetrical systems.
Let me ask a question from you, Dr. Yu. Because the argument was made that peer review, you're not a peer to review it, like you're not a qualified peer to review. Is that how it's seen in your world, where a peer review is another person that's a qualified doctor, schooling, and they've done the right thing to look there?
That's the common practice in established physics community. But I believe this is a gatekeeper to silence, to squash, to suppress.
Really?
Different opinion. Yes. And this is a very convenient tool. Say, how many peer review you have, how many sightings you have. If you do not, they very hardly even get you to go through the publication. If you cannot be publicated, right? So how can you get cited, get peer reviewed, right? The only peer review, you submit the paper, they send it to those, about several review board members. You know what they have? If you disagree with their fundamental concept, you said entire quantum mechanics is not true, and even relativity is hypothetical. Of course you will not get a daylight from their review.
But they want to keep their entire livelihood is based upon maintaining their current status quo. And they don't want to change that. Like he said, you get your PhDs based upon repeating what they've taught you before, not by challenging what's been in existence, but by confirming what's in existence. So they don't want to grow. They want to maintain the status quo. And in order for us to grow, we have to keep challenging the clothes we're in, the bed that we fit in, the physical shape we're in. We've got to keep pushing the boundaries, and they've taken that away because they've got profit margins associated with it, and they won't do the reviewing.
Do you think that's what's tied to it, Doctor? Do you agree with them that it's because of, is it just the same old, this is how we always do it, you're an outsider, we don't want to give you the credibility, you're not one of us? Is that what do you think it is?
Perception is, but I have to give credit. There's many of non-conventional theory does have a lot of flaws, very obvious mistake or typos or flaws, very easily to being picked on. So in that point, I believe we need to have some gatekeeper, some standards, right? Mm-hmm. But not constrict called new ideas. So I wanted to make a further point. It's very important in physics community. If a quantum model is not correct, right, we throw out. So how can we resolve the four fundamental forces in quantum mechanics?
So what is happening is, in the science community, they have gatekeepers. They don't want to give Howard his peer review. He is frustrated because these gatekeepers are trying to squash self, or even to a certain extent, they're trying to dead his project. These scientists have too much egos, stuck in old ways. If there's a better way of life, why not take it? Why not try it out? See if it works. But they're stuck in old ways, maybe scared of change, or possibly even scared of losing their status. What do you guys think? I don't understand maybe why they'll be scared of losing their status, because if they have some groundbreaking news or discovery, if anything, that would just bump up their status. But if it is how Howard says, that he has this linchpin and it can better our lives, why don't they just take a leap of faith and just give him his peer review? Because at the end of the day, if it's false, pretty sure he'll just back down and go back to acting.
A long time ago. The gravity issue sits out there, and the electromagnetism that they've been trying to bond forever, instead of recognizing that they're already one system. But their approach is completely off with it. They see magnets, they don't even see magnetism properly. They don't see it as this expanding centrifugal force, and they don't see electricity as this contracting centripetal force. They don't see the motion of it. But I cut you off. I shouldn't have done that.
Very good. I wanted to make sure people understand that without quantum mechanics, we only need one single fundamental force, which is
motion. Everything comes down to motion.
We're talking about the force right now, the regular force in the interaction, magnetic force. So now people are often talking about the electromagnetic force. So the people confuse about the electrical and magnetism. I remember you mentioned on your maybe on your show something, electro and the magnetism. What is your contrast between them?
That electricity is always spinning northeast, seeking a higher pressure condition, spinning to the right, trying to get to the apex and the center of something, centripetally spinning. Then as it gets to the center, it gets pushed out by another electrical part of the wave, and once it gets to the edge of the boundary and no longer has the potential of being trapped in there, now it gets devitalized. And as a result of being devitalized, it's no longer able to spin northeast anymore. Now it's spinning southwest because it's putting on these things. It becomes magnetism, and it's spinning southwesternly, centrifugally, expanding outward. It's expanding in sixes, whereas before it was contracting in 3 sets of fives, in 3/5. The contraction happens here. Electricity contracts, magnetism expands. It's the radiation compared to the so-called gravitative force. That's how I see it.
Let me give you my version. Before James Clerk Maxwell, they treat electricity and the magnetism completely separate thing. And what James Clerk Maxwell did is unify them, establish connection. So it defined, in one of his equations, defined electrical field are time varying of magnetic field. Let me explain in my own discovery.
Please.
So-called electrostatic electric field. This is a secret in my theory, called the Yuan theory of everything. Static electric field is exactly magnetic field. And dynamic electric field, that means what? Time varying of magnetic field is when you have a magnet has a magnetic field, right? Magnet in motion. That's what they call the time varying. Whenever you have a moving magnetic field, that's called the electric field. That generates the electricity.
And the thing with our universe is they measure things as if it's dead, but everything is in motion. Everything is alive and in motion. There's never anything that's still. And we keep measuring things as if they are dead and still and going to remain in this set place, when things are not just stuck here. They are always in motion, and the motion is always spherical. The motion is never in a straight line. It's always spherical. And if they make that one adjustment and start measuring things based upon the spherical or spiral nature of everything, then all of their measurements would equal up. Then they would have balance in their energy systems. But because they're using straight lines, I'll use this point again, like with a computer chip, you have these 90-degree angles with the computer chip. It keeps turning, going at the speed of light or just under the speed of light, hit this 90-degree wall, it has to stop, then build up its energy and go again. Well, that's heat that's built up in each one of these 90-degree turns. Each time that heat builds up, what does it do? It destroys the electrical signal, because electricity is balanced off by magnetism. Magnetism creates heat. The heat is those points. Now the signal breaks down. So they keep having to cool the system in comparison to how energy really moves in a circle. Now there's no interference being built up. Now the chip works a lot smoother, but the way they're doing everything, it has this entropy, this unnecessary resistance because of their ideas on straight lines.
Terrance, what's your outcome with this information? So in an ideal situation for you, what would you like to see happen?
Well, I wanted to see the world change. I wanted to see us get off of fossil fuels. I wanted to see us get off the planet using resonance and no longer burning chemicals. I want to see us using resonance to heal our bodies and no longer using chemicals or oil-based chemicals. What I want to see is the planet change. That was what I wanted to do. I'm not sure that's going to happen. I feel like now what we have to do is start our own breakaway society and use these technologies that they're refusing to use and just build a whole separate world, because they're not going to come along because they are attached to this dollar.
So I agree and don't agree with Howard. The fact that I don't agree is he's talking about how he has to build a different world and all this other nonsense. Just stop the cap. That's just going to bring more dividends into the world. It's just going to divide us more. And sometimes I agree with some of the stuff that he's saying with the linchpin, how the free energy and all this, but don't really agree with the dividing. And it doesn't resonate with me, because we got to spread kindness and joy to the world, not this nonsense. I guess I know he's frustrated and all, but no.
So the idea of you wanting peer review and others to review it, it's for what? That prompts
That
what?
was happening before, because it would open the door for them now to accept it and to start using it. But in view of the fact that more than likely they're not going to review it, more than likely, and Eric Weinstein was right, we are not peers. I don't have the degrees he has. And guess what he doesn't have? He doesn't have an understanding of how the universe works.
You don't think Eric Weinstein
he
has
has no understanding of how the universe works, because he has rejected the geometry that supports how the universe behaves. He didn't even evaluate the geometry. He did not. And then when I asked him about, does an action times an action have a reaction concerning the 1 times 1, he obfuscated. I hate that word. He ran away from it. He kept diverting. And guess what? We are not peers, because he doesn't have it. He hasn't invented a new form of flight. He hasn't discovered unlimited midair bonding. He hasn't done any of the things that I've done. He doesn't have any of the patents that I have. Now, whether they want to monetize them or not doesn't change the fact that these things are real. And like I said, if I have to go to China and allow China to now build if I go to DJI, I bet you they won't hesitate a moment to use linchpin. And then the U.S. is unable to use them. And then what happens to it? If I give my energy system to another country, what happens to it? The same energy system that they're trying to squash here. What happens to this place if I do that? Which they're forcing me to do. Do you know that they took away my passport out of the blue? Just took away my passport. First they said my passport, that I had some child support things, and I was like, that's some BS. Took 4 months to argue that I had no passport issues with child support. Then it's like, oh, it's your taxes. It's you owe taxes, so we're going to take away your passport. Why? So I couldn't go to Dubai. Why? So I couldn't go and get this stuff financed. It's all the suppression. And I'm like, okay. So after I'm done here today, when I get home, I'm going to put online the equations necessary to have a thing called unlimited energy, to be able to pull energy directly from the flux, just to say fuck you to the world. I'm going to show them how to pull energy directly from the flux.
Your thoughts when you're listening to him?
Yes, I have to be careful. Eric Weinstein, I consider my peers, right? I respect his intelligence, but I do believe his geometric unity theory is heading wrong direction.
It's wrong, because it should have been finite. He needs a finite space in order for it to work. His fiber bundles don't work. Its entire Hopf vibration disappears because gauge theory becomes redundant once you introduce linchpin geometry into it. That was one of the things I tried to share with him that he refused to look at. First, I sent him a paper on how the linchpin helped with the Hopf vibration and how the linchpin could help in gauge theory. And then I had to rewrite the paper and show him how the linchpin makes all of that redundant. He didn't respond. It's sitting there in this thing. He hasn't responded. That's the thing I told you to send over to Brian, because I'm like, let's go to war. Since you're going to call me an idiot, let's go to war. And I want all the papers. Now I want the war to take place through written white papers. So you're not just sitting there talking garbage anymore. Now you have to validate what you're saying, because the papers are here. And if you say the wrong thing, I will sue you now. That's the reality of it.